Hey everyone, Penham here again, and today, well, we are going to be opening the brand new structure deck, Zombie Horde. And let's just say that I've been waiting for this one for a long time. I'm just a little sad that it came out after Halloween and not before, but I guess it's legal for the first weekend after the release, which basically is the first weekend after Halloween, so it's not that bad. But basically, this is the brand new deck, it's first edition, and I just realized that it's written reloaded. So I guess it's just because it's another zombie structure deck that it's reloaded. But anyways, I'm not going to go over all of this info in the back because obviously we'll see everything inside. But I just want you guys to admire the artwork, and it will be also on the playmat inside. It is a beautiful mat. I know that much because I've actually opened two other decks before this one, just to, get familiarized with it, and because I actually buy 3 of most of the starters and structure decks, no matter which one they are. So, I'm already a little acquainted with this one. There is the beginner's guide, not the actual rule book, so there's no version or whatever next to it, but it's pretty cool that they have it made for this specific deck. They use examples as much as possible from this deck, except for the obvious stuff that should have been modified a bit, but yeah, whatever. Actually, special editions at least have been changed and stuff like that. When you see frequently asked questions, you have these things. I believe that a little further down the road, links obviously are not included in this deck, so they're using the decode. But here we go. For the synchro monsters, since one is included, they're actually using the cards from this deck as examples, which is pretty nice. So yeah, good little effort right there from Konami. We have the beautiful mat. I love my mat, but I think that today we will be using this one. It just looks beautiful. And here we are. Look at that. This beautiful, beautiful Doom King thing. I know the name changed in, I think it was Drokoshul in the Japanese version, but the name changed in the TCG version, which is kind of sad. But I think it's Doom King something now, so it's still pretty mean sounding at least. So I guess this would be enough. And we have the deck with our beautiful red-eyed zombie Neko Dragon. So I really love zombies, guys. Pardon me. It's been a while since zombies got this much love and affection from Konami in such a short time. And let's be honest, they somewhat deserved it. Like, to some degree, they deserved it. They got Vendrids, they got Shiranui, they're getting in the next expansion. Oh, right, that's on the other side of this. There we go. So we have, obviously, how to play the deck, which is kind of disappointing because it only revolves around summoning, well, activating this and getting either this or that. And, well, that's pretty much the whole thing in this deck. But there is so much more that this deck can do. But we also have some little suggestions with Power Up with packs. So basically, this suggests that we use Wee Witch and Borrel's Sword. I guess that's somewhat obvious. They're suggesting that we use Revenge of the Normal, which is decent in this deck, actually. And obviously, Terraforming, Levier, and BRAINZZZZ, basically. But, Levier, I'm not even sure there are that many level 3s in here. But here, in Summoners, this is going to be interesting because they're going to have Maya Kashis. And that's coming out pretty soon. And let's be honest, Maya Kashis are going to be fun to play with, and they're very zombie and synchro at the same time. So obviously a lot of people will want to tune up their decks if they're playing this deck in particular. They have the brand new Duel Links with Yusei on it, which is kind of cool. So at least they updated the artwork for the new update on the app. And now we have the main deck, the main course of this whole video. So we have Red-Eyed Zombie Necro Dragon. It gains 100 attack and defense for each zombie monster on the field and in the graveyards. So 2 graveyards, and the field basically puts all of those monsters into zombies. So, that's pretty decent. It'll obviously go up a few hundreds, and that's pretty good for a level 7 monster. But when another zombie monster is destroyed by battle, whether it be your opponent's or your own, You can special summon one zombie monster from either graveyard to the field, and it doesn't have to be the one that's been destroyed by battle. But you can only use that effect once per turn. Still pretty decent, pretty easy to make in this deck too, so that's pretty nice. And the artwork is just beautiful. Look at that. Loving it. We'll put that to the back. And we have Tatsunekro. So basically the zombie version of Tatsunoko, which was a synchro. So that's a pretty nice little, little note to take. Because this looks not only beautiful, but is very powerful in this deck. It's not something that you need to summon from the extra deck like the Tatsunoko. And this one actually lets you use cards from your hand as materials to make synchro monsters. But both this and the material from your hand will go, instead of being sent to the graveyard, will be banished. And you can only special summon zombie monsters when you use that. Still, it's pretty good. Like, it actually is pretty good. You only need to summon this and have a level 4 monster in your hand. You banish the both of them, and you get Necro. And if you had Zombie World on the field, well then, you just get bonus from there. That's pretty decent, honestly. You have the main guy, the one and only, Doom King Balderdrock. Balderdrock. Yeah, Balderdrock. So this guy looks beautifully done. Honestly, love the artwork on it. Sadly, we couldn't get the OCG structure deck version of this one. But, yeah, Drokoshula sounded way more awesome. But whatever. This guy is awesomely powerful. It only has 2800 attack. For a boss monster, it's not exceptional, but it's pretty decent. Because during your standby phase, during the standby phase, either players basically, if a face-up card is in the field zone, whether it be your own or your opponent's, and this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card in defense. It's not great in defense, but the rest of the effect is insane. Because once per chain, when a zombie monster, except himself, activates its effect, except during the damage step, you have a quick effect. You can apply one of these effects, but you cannot apply the same effect again this turn. So you can activate both of the effects, but not the same one twice. And the effects are negate the effect of the monster that activated its effect, or banish a monster from the field or graveyard. This is insanely good, because the field spell, Zombie World, basically makes monsters that are on the field or in the graveyard zombies. So your opponent activates a monster's effect on the field, you can negate it. They activate an effect in the graveyard, you can negate it. You can also negate hand traps, because they might be activated from the hand, but they resolve once they're in the graveyard. You know, that's a cost to discard them. And so once they're in the graveyard, the effect actually resolves and activates, you know? And this says that you can negate that effect. So it's pretty darn strong. And this is easily summonable in attack mode from other monsters in the deck. You don't have to, use its effect on its own. But if your opponent does destroy it during your own turn, it can come back. As long as it's not banished, it can come back. And this deck doesn't care if the cards get banished, because there are a lot of cards that bring them back. So it's pretty nice. Pretty nice. We have Necro World Banshee. And I just love this card. Look at that artwork. Beautiful. It looks almost like a Mayakashi card already, but they haven't been released yet. Basically, Zombie World in the field zone cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, neither player can target it with card effects. And it's an 1800 beat stick, so it's not that bad. But, quick effect. You can banish this card from the field or graveyard, activate one Zombie World directly from your hand or deck. And it doesn't say add, it says activate. So that is insane. The opponent can't ash this. It's awesome. Like, this basically is hard to stop for any hand trap or whatever. You need to do something against it before it activates its effect, but its effect is a quick effect. So it's awesome. So yeah, that's just insanely powerful in this deck. You just need to send this to the grave somehow, and you get your field. You don't even need to search your field. So I just love this card right here. And we also have the one and only Glow Up Bloom. It is not bulb, but bloom. Because, it has actually bloomed. Bulb is just a bulb. Anyways, If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, add one level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand. Or if Zombie World was active, you can special summon it instead. But in either case, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except zombies. So this is pretty good. It's a level 1 tuner, so you can easily just summon it, use it for Link Karibo, and then you get its effect. So basically, if you had the field spell already on, you get a Doom King in attack mode and a Link Karibo, but the Link Karibo is a zombie. So, so many combos are available with just the one card and the field, so it's already very powerful, but it's also a level 1 tuner. The only downside for this card is that you have to activate its effect when it's sent to the graveyard, It has to be at the moment that it's sent to the graveyard. So if you use it as a material for something, but you don't have your field out yet, well, you're just going to be searching. You're not going to do much more. So you need to be wary of the situation and plan ahead of time. But I love the card. It's just such an insanely awesome artwork too. And now we're done. We're done with the foils. We're at the commons. There are quite a few, and honestly, there are some that are questionably useful. But yeah, they're still pretty interesting. Like this one, where you can special summon it by controlling 2 or more zombie monsters, which isn't that hard, honestly, nowadays. If this card is special summoned, you shuffle as many other monsters on the field as possible into the deck, and it gains 1,000 attack for each of those. So, I mean, that was pretty good, but they have to be zombies when they return for it to gain attack. So it at least will have 2,000, but if your field is active, your opponent's monsters will be returned and you will gain much more attack, and there aren't any monsters on the field anymore, so you can just boom away. So it's pretty decent, but it does have a lot of prerequisites for it to be useful. We have Red Eyes Zombie Dragon, the OG Zombie Dragon right here. Love this card. Still have the original one from the previous Zombie World structure deck right here. Opened earlier this week on the channel. This is basically just like Red Eyes Zombie Necro, except that this one is you special the monster that you destroyed. But it can be tribute summoned in attack position by tributing only 1 zombie instead of 2 cards. So it's pretty interesting too. We have Malevolent Mech Goku N. You can normal summon this card without tributing. Once per turn during the end phase, if this card was summoned this way, you send it to the graveyard and take damage equal to the original attack. But you need to only have zombie monsters on the field to activate or resolve this effect. But it has to be the only zombie monster, pardon me. So if you have any other zombies, well, you can't. Sad. Endless Decay. If you have 2,000 or less life points, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you and when it's on the field, it gains its attack becomes half the opponent's life points. So if you're losing badly, this is a pretty decent beat stick right here. Paladin of the Cursed Dragon. Once per turn, you can target a level 4 or lower zombie monster in your opponent's graveyard that was destroyed by battle and special summon it. So it's pretty good. It's also a beat stick, so that's pretty nice, but it's also a level 4. So if you do not want to use it, or your opponent doesn't have anything that was destroyed by battle, you can always use it with Tetsu Necro. Yes, both of them will be banished, but you have a lot of effects that will bring them back somehow, and you don't really care if you can at least get something going. So, this deck is a decent structure deck that if you buy 2 or 3, you should have a very playable thing for at least local level. Immortal Ruler cannot be special summoned, but you can shoot this card, then target a zombie rolled in your graveyard and add it to your hand. This is not that great, let's be honest. It's mostly just because it's level 4 zombie that it's useful. You don't really care about recycling Zombie World if you have multiple ones in your deck, because you can just search them out way faster than you can recycle them. But, whatever. Zombie Master, always a good card for zombie swarming. We have Tristane, Knight of the Underworld. When this card is normal summoned, you can target a zombie monster with 0 defense in your graveyard and add it to your hand. And it gains 200 attack if you control another zombie monster. So, pretty decent. But this allows you to recycle Glow-Up-Bulb. It allows you to recycle Zombie Master. Decay 2. Yeah, actually, Decay 2. There's no limit for the level. But there are also some other 0 defense in here, which are very powerful, mixed with Tristane. Like, well, let's just go ahead and talk about her right now. Isolde, or Isolde in French, which is, I believe, the way you should pronounce the name, Isolde. But yeah, Tristane and Isolde, or Tristan and Isolde, are basically the couple from I believe, the King Arthur mythology, or, the story of King Arthur. And basically, they go very well together, and that is why they're actually meant to be together. Because this card, if you control Tristane, you can special summon this card from your hand. And, he basically recycles her. Cannot be special summoned by other ways. You can target up to 2 zombie monsters you control and declare a level from 5 to 8, and they become that level until the end of the turn. Also, you can't special summon monsters except zombie monsters. But, they could already make a rank 4 to 8 right away, and you just recycle her. So if she was already in the graveyard for X reason, you basically get some free stuff. That's pretty good. We have Mizuki, the traditional zombie that special summons stuff when banishing himself. We have Gozuki, the alter ego, or, the other part of Mizuki. Basically, they're both gods in the same religion, or, creatures from the same religion, at least. But this one sends stuff from the deck to the graveyard, and if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish 1 zombie monster from your graveyard, except himself, and special summon 1 zombie monster from your hand. So two uses to it, Use it for a link summon for, like, Vampire Sucker, and banish it, banish something else from your graveyard to special summon from your hand, and make a higher ranked, or link monster, Shuten Doji, a very decent reprint right here. It's not great, but it's pretty cool, and I remember it when it was a first released secret rare, I believe. It was so expensive for no reason, but it was still pretty powerful. Once per turn, you can activate one of these effects. Banish 2 zombies from your graveyard and draw 1, or target 1 banished zombie monster, place that target on top of your deck. So it's decent. We have Pyramid Turtle, the classic pyramid. We have Goblin Zombie, the classic goblin. People should already know the effects of both of these cards, but let's just go quickly with Zombie. If this card inflicts battle damage, send the top card of their deck to the graveyard, and if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you add 1 zombie with 1200 or less defense from your deck to your hand. So, that's pretty decent. We have Shiranui Solitaire, another target for Tristane. This guy can be tributed or tribute any other zombie monsters that you control. Special summon a zombie tuner with 0 defense from your deck. So, Glow Up Bulb is included in here that has 0 defense, and we obviously have the Uni-Zombie to go with it. But hey, whatever. The rest of the effect isn't too important, but if you guys want to read, go ahead and pause the video. I will be continuing. Uni-Zombie basically sends stuff from your hand to the grave or from a deck to the grave. Once per turn, both of those effects can be activated, and that allows you to increase the level of 1 monster on your field by 1 for each of those effects activated. So, it's pretty interesting. It could go up to 4, go up to 5, go up to nothing. You could increase the level of other monsters, just to have fun. But yeah, it's a level 3 tuner with 0 defense. So Solitaire summons it, and Tristane can recycle it. We have Marionette Might. You can discard this card to the graveyard and target 1 fiend or zombie monster your opponent controls and take control of that target until the end phase. Interesting when you play Zombie World, but not too relevant otherwise. We have Beast of the Pharaoh. This card is sent to the graveyard for a synchro summon. You can target 1 level 4 or lower zombie monster in the graveyard and special summon that target. Not going to happen very often. This is probably one of the things I would take out, just like Marionette Might and the Immortal Ruler, I believe, earlier, or something like that. Scapegoat, not too relevant, but still decent. It's a flip effect, that's why it's not too relevant. Otherwise, it would be insane. It's a tuner, 0 defense, so it's also a pretty decent target. You can special summon any number of Black Sheep token, which are level 1 tokens, when it's flipped. So, basically you can special summon up to 4, depending on how much space you have left. So that concludes the monster part, and it's pretty decent. Let's go to the spells now. There are some pretty decent reprints in the trap section at least, and the spells are pretty cool too. If a level 5 or higher zombie monster is on the field, target 1 monster your opponent controls, take control of it until the end phase. During your main phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can shuffle 1 of your banished zombie monsters into the deck, and if you do, set this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use 1 of these effect per turn, and only once that turn. So, when it's in the graveyard, because you used it, you need to wait another turn, which is kind of sad. But it's still a pretty decent card, as long as there's a level 5 or higher zombie, and there are plenty in this deck. The thing is that if you don't have any of those on field, and your opponent plays links or exceeds, you're not going to play this card very often, and that's kind of sad. It should have been if there is at least, like, if there are at least 2 zombie monsters instead of a level 5 or higher. That would have been a little more interesting, because you need to have something to take something, at least, you know. But, you know, whatever. It's still a pretty decent card. We have Zombie Power Struggle, which is a quick play that allows you to target a zombie monster on the field, and until the end of the turn, gains 1,000 or loses 1,000 attack. But, you know, the rest of the effect is basically the same as Necronize. You recycle stuff. We have Zombie World, the powerful field spell that, you know, allows this deck to work. It changes monsters on the field and in the graveyards into zombies, and neither player can tribute summon monsters except zombies. So this hurts True Dracos, it hurts a few other decks that need tribute summons, but those aren't too relevant nowadays. But, you know, this is very powerful against also Cybers decks, because they need Cybers monsters on their field. It's powerful against machine decks that need machines on the field. You know, it's good against quite a few little decks that aren't necessarily the main monster decks and stuff like that, but, you know, still powerful. I believe this would also hurt quite a lot the Thunder Dragons, because they need Thunder monsters to make their fusions or something like that. Overpowering Eye, you target a monster, a zombie monster you control, with 2,000 or less attack, and it can attack directly this turn. Book of Life, which is the monster reborn of the deck, for zombies specifically, and, well, you can target a monster in your opponent's graveyard and banish it. So, it's pretty good. Call of the Mummy, to special summon zombies from your hand if you don't have any monsters. Foolish Burial for obvious reasons. Monster Gate because you can tribute and special. You have Drag Down into the Grave, which is a decent reprint, especially because dangers are very popular nowadays. But, you know, it allows you to make your zombies go to the graveyard faster and look at your opponent's hand and discard stuff. So it's pretty good. Burial to recycle. Shared Ride, great reprint right here. Each time a card is added to the from the main deck to the or graveyard to your opponent's hand, except by drawing them, you immediately draw 1. So it's pretty good. Return of the Zombies. Basically, you banish a zombie monster on the field, then special summon 1 zombie monster from the graveyard of the player who controlled the monster you banished. It goes in defense position. But the rest is basically like Necronize, you recycle stuff. Haunted Shrine. If you control no monsters, target a zombie monster in your graveyard and special summon it. If you control no monsters, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 zombie monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but its effects are negated. You can only use 1 of these effects per turn. So it's pretty good, it just needs to be in the graveyard, but unlike the other zombie-specific spells and traps that we had the recycle effect, this is not limited to being the next turn after this is sent to the graveyard. So if you have multiple options or multiple targets for some reason, like your opponent just keeps bashing you, well, you know, this, as soon as it's in the graveyard, you can special summon stuff. So if you play something like Foolish Burial Goods, and you have something in your graveyard, you can just send this to the grave with Foolish Burial Goods, banish this, and summon for free. You don't have to wait. That's pretty cool. We have Trap of the Imperial Tomb. When a zombie monster is special summoned from your opponent's graveyard to your field, target 2 cards on the field and destroy them. It has to be 2, and it's mandatory. So be wary. I wouldn't play it, but be wary if you do play it. Needlebug Nest, send the top 5 of your deck to the graveyard. Not that great, but still very playable in here. We have Metaverse instead of Terraforming. You take a field spell from your deck and either activate it or add it to your hand. We have Anti-Spell Fragrance, which is very good. Both players must set spell cards before activating them, and they cannot activate them until their next turn after setting them. So, you know, you play a lot of spells, but most of them, except for the field, you don't care if they're not activated the turn you get them, most of them at least. So this is pretty useful to help stall against a lot of decks, especially against pendulums, which aren't as relevant as before, but still present. And finally, we have Mask of Restrict. Neither player can tribute cards, and this is good in here. Why? Because this you don't tribute summon. This you don't tribute summon. This you could tribute summon, but you don't need to if it's in the graveyard. This you don't tribute summon, and this you don't tribute summon. And, you know, the rest is all lower. So, basically, Mask of Restrict is good against a lot of stuff, especially against True Dracos and the sort. So, this is a very decent reprint right here. Overall, the deck is filled with very interesting combos. It should mix very well with stuff like Vendrids. I know that other yugitubers have done deck profiles and playtesting on YouTube. I think BUSTEDMCBUSTED did that. I think that's his name. I'll try to see if I can find a link or something for the comment section down below or whatever. But yeah, a lot of these cards have very good use, and there are so many good zombie cards that have been released lately and that will be released, especially with Hidden Summoners and Savage Strike coming soon. Savage Strike will have a lot of Shiranui support, which will be insanely very fun, at least. I don't know if it's going to be insane, but it's going to be very, very fun. And, you know, this is also something that you can mix with Dangers, because this is a level 8, and this you want in your grave, and this you want in your grave too. So, you know, you could mix these with Dangers and max out, well, maybe 2 of these, 3 Thunderbirds, and 3 Bigfoots, so you have 8 level 8s. You could use Trade-In in that deck, and this would go to the graveyard, you draw 2, you get your field out somehow, you send this to the grave or this to the grave by using your Dangers, you get searches or activations. It's going to be a very, very interesting deck, especially if you play Zombie World in that deck. Obviously you will, but that will also stop opponents from using a lot of their combos when you're playing Dangers, which only really care about being sent to the grave. They don't really care about, you know, their type. So that's also a very interesting variation that I've been working on for a while. It's decent. I wouldn't play it in tournaments yet, but, you know, I'm still lacking a few Danger cards myself. So, whatever. But yeah, this deck is a recommended purchase by Panem. It's very fun, very budget, and you can buy 2 or 3 and have a playable deck. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please mention in the comment section if you want to see more zombie-related stuff, because I just love those, and I know there is a lot more coming our way. And until next time, guys, it's been a pleasure, and Panem out.